There was a time where addiction, back in the early 1900s, where addiction was treated like an illness. In fact, we had more people who were addicted at the turn of the century than we do now. We had 50,000 patent medications that contained cocaine, they contained morphine. When you watch those old westerns and everybody's lining up to buy the snake oil, it's not because it has snake in it, it's not because it's an oil. It had, morphine, paregoric. And then what happened in 1914, right around the time our physicians were really kind of, Pasteur and Coke had come along, Western medicine was really taking off, we began to have antibiotics, we were treating, they came and doctors were deciding, here's what we treat, here's what we don't, here's what we know how to handle. And in 1914, the Harrison Act was passed, and the Harrison Act made it illegal for doctors to treat substance use disorder, we call it that, with substances. So suddenly, it came out of the medical realm and went into law enforcement to take care of. And we've still had a hard time. We've still had a hard time getting it back into that medical place. Even though it was 1956 when the American Medical Association came back and said, yes, it is an illness. Which makes me wonder again, then have we not done a good job to help educate the community on what it is? What does it look like? Have we not done a good job of coming in and saying, here are the signs and symptoms. We know the signs and symptoms. We know who's at risk. We don't go in and target those children. We don't go in and say you're at risk, here's what we can do to help. In fact, we still keep it, this stigmatized, I don't want to talk about it, it's not going to happen to me. So we've not done a good job of coming in, educating, helping people understand what does it look like? What are the signs and symptoms? Why is it an illness? In fact, we've made it sort of a disgrace to have it. So it makes me also sit back and say, maybe it's the stigma then. Maybe the stigma is holding us hostage itself too. Are we not embracing the fact that this is a disease? Because if we really came in and embraced that, we wouldn't stigmatize it so much. But this stigma keeps it the most judged disease. It keeps us locked up. The other thing that happens is that it really comes in and stigmatizes the parents and how the parents feel. It keeps the parents thinking, and I don't care how much therapy you get in the beginning, it takes time for parents to come around and not believe that they've done something wrong. Because none of us are perfect parents. We've all done stuff wrong. And yet, this illness can happen to anyone.